Hello, my friends. This is Heather. This is episode 100 of the Back to Me podcast. Can you believe it? Oh my gosh. Talked to so many amazing people. And today I'm talking to another amazing human being, Dr. Cindy Rubin. And we are talking about entrepreneurial burnout. So you can burn out as an employee because you're in a soul-sucking job and think that escaping out into entrepreneur will be the all sunshine and roses. But have a listen and you will hear it has its own challenges, but there are things you can do. So my friends, have a listen. Let me know what you think. Take care, and I hope to talk to you soon. Hi, my friends. Welcome. This is the Back to Me podcast, and this is Heather, and I am super excited that you're here. You are going to hear some tips and some tricks and some ideas to help you live your happiest and healthiest self. I call it Back to Me because when you are taking care of yourself, back to me, then you can take better care of others, and we can all make the world a better place. This is Wellness Your Way, and I am super happy that you're here. Hello, my friends. I hope you're having an outstanding day. This is Heather. This is the super fabulous Back to Me podcast. And guess what? Woo woo. This is episode 100. Yay!
Yay!
Woo, cue the fireworks. I should have brought champagne with me. It's early in the day for champagne, but it's never too early to celebrate. I know. It's noon somewhere, isn't it? So
it's almost 2 here,
right?
Where I am. So
it's like 3 here. It's good. We're good.
Yeah.
We could totally. We'll have to call our waiters to come out.
There you go.
Waiter, bring the champagne. So to celebrate episode 100, I have an amazing human for our celebrity chat today, and it is Dr. Cindy Rubin. Hello, my friend. How are you doing?
Hi, I am hanging in there.
You're hanging in. So we were chatting just before we came on, and I just as I asked you that, I thought whenever we ask someone now, I would say, "I'm fine. How are you?"
Right.
But I know that you aren't necessarily the greatest today, but that's okay because that's real life. I always say that's real life. But I want to talk first because I want to let people know about you, about who you are and what you do, and how did you decide to do what you did?
Yeah, very good question. So I live in Chicago, or right outside Chicago, and I am a general pediatrician, and I've been practicing outpatient pediatrics for 19 years now, actually. And I was in an academic outpatient clinical setting for 13 years, and I was completely burnt out. I was seeing way more patients than I felt I could handle in a day, safely and happily, to practice medicine the way I felt was necessary in terms of taking time with patients and addressing the issues that they wanted addressed and that I felt needed to be addressed. And I tried to figure out how to make it work and tried a few things. I went part-time, then I went a little more part-time. Somehow it manages to just spread itself out into the same amount of time. And I found a niche, which I am still doing now, which is breastfeeding medicine, which is a kind of niche in medicine and in lactation of physicians who are addressing lactation problems from a medical perspective. So adding in that extra bit of expertise that is sometimes necessary to address more complicated problems that may be beyond the scope of either the primary care doctors who don't have breastfeeding training or the other lactation counselors who don't have the medical training. So we are part of that team taking care of lactating people. And I love doing this, and I incorporated it into my old practice. And the more I incorporated it, the harder it got to stay there because it takes time. And I had carved out that time for a half a day a week. But when I would see a newborn in my office, which was often multiple newborns in a given day, I still only had my 15 minutes.
Wow.
And that's really impossible for a newborn of any type, whether or not they're having feeding problems. But the more I knew about lactation, the more I was inclined to do everything I could in that first visit to help move things along.
Right.
Because I kind of knew that it was timely and I would lose that patient potentially, or they would stop breastfeeding before I could see them again. So that
Right.
inevitably just made me run behind more
Oh
and be
no.
more burnt out. And
More stress.
it was, yeah. I mean, I was doing what I wanted to do, but it wasn't working in the system that I was in.
Right.
So a year ago, I decided to shift gears and I opened my own practice, which is in the direct primary care model, which is a membership-based model for primary care. And in my case, pediatrics in particular. So it is accessible, it is an affordable fee, it is not necessary. It's kind of like concierge for the masses in a way, without the high ticket in a way. So you get access and excellent care and time with your physician, but at a reasonable cost. And I do home visits, which is
Wow.
totally fun, and
Nobody does that
I
anymore.
love. Exactly, exactly, and I never knew what that felt like, and it really feels wonderful. And, I also do the lactation, which is not membership based. That's kind of à la carte visits for people who need lactation help. And I'm a year into that business, so now I'm not only a pediatrician, but I'm a small business owner, and that is a whole new career for me.
That's a whole new ball of
And
wax.
yes. So I also have a husband and a 10 and 8-year-old children, and a dog. And that's kind of where I am. That's who I am in my home and professional world right now. And it's it's a it's I both love it and sometimes hate it, and it's a challenge and it's scary.
It's very different. So because um I've been an entrepreneur now for probably almost 20 years that I've
Mhm,
been working from. I left the corporate the corporate safety net and just flew off the cliff and off I went. And it is
mhm,
challenging. And it is, and you made a comment about, when you were trying to fit things into your part-time and they just all your time filled up. I can't remember if it's called the Peter principle, or if my goldfish comes to mind, it's like the time you give it, it will absolutely fill it, you know.
right.
And the goldfish will grow as big as the tank that they're in. Its possessions do that too.
Mhm,
We need a bigger house, and then your bigger house is full. But
right.
it's a trade-off of, um, so I can see that it's like you were loving what you were doing, but you were stuck inside a system that wasn't letting you do it. And it is sad that, because I know a little, I mean, I studied it peripherally when I went to massage therapy school. And where I am, it's a 2-year program to become a
Mhm.
massage therapist. And so I know that those first few weeks of lactation are super important to get the
Oh,
things the
yeah.
baby needs, right?
Mhm,
And if it's not working, it's like we're on a time schedule. And if
it's
you only have
true.
5 minutes to explain it to them, it's not the greatest. And you want to do the
Right.
best. And when you're the type of person, like I assume all doctors really want to help people, um, it's it's like disheartening for you to not be able to help these people in the way that will really benefit them.
Yeah,
When
yeah.
so I understand, I can completely understand why you had to say, I've got to go. What's that song? I've got to go my own way.
These
So,
boots are made for walking?
oh, there's a good one. Yeah, exactly. I had what's an academic hospital? Is that
So, it's a, tertiary care hospital, so large academic center that has both the clinical part of things, but also research and students, and med school
Okay.
is attached, lots of
Right.
residency programs. So
I've been in
it's
one of
got
those
all of that.
hospitals.
Yeah,
Every couple hours, somebody new came to
somebody
see
comes
me.
in. Yes.
It's like, who are you?
Yeah. Well, and that's part of what makes, many of us in that setting, we're in it because we like to teach. And you don't necessarily get compensated for that teaching. On a
Right,
day when you have a student of some type with you, you don't necessarily see fewer patients. And
right.
so where do you fit in actually talking to that student and
Yeah.
explaining what you just did, or
So
um
you're trying to fit in talking to students and having quality patient time, which
right.
is challenging. And I know the medical models keep shifting. I mean, I only know a little bit about the US model, but even the Canadian model is shifting and changing. And doctors, especially the last few years, are getting really stressed out and burnt out.
Mhm.
And they're just trying to help people. And
Right.
it's like being an entrepreneur is a different kind of burnout, but finding a way to support people in helping you're in a helping role. How do systems support you? So
Mhm.
what have you found the hardest in becoming an entrepreneur?
So I think the main thing has been, well, part of it is probably my own naivety coming into it.
You
We
don't know what you
don't get
don't know.
right, right. And I knew it wasn't gonna be easy, but one of the things that I was really having a tough time with, when I left that job was, not being able to practice the way I wanted to practice. But in fact, what I was doing was I was practicing the way I wanted and needed to. So I would spend way more time at work running behind and doing all the things that needed to be done there. And then I would lose out on dinner time and bedtime and all this time with my kids and my husband.
Important
And
times.
right. And that and they know that that is why I left my job to do something on my own terms. But little did we all know that this is probably even more work than that was in a way, and more stressful just in terms of financial instability. And um, it's been that, I think, figuring out how to car compartmentalize my life and put up those boundaries and not let my business seep into everything else, which I'm finding very difficult.
Oh yeah, a lot of entrepreneurs don't know, have maybe haven't considered or resolved for themselves before. I mean, you can't know all the answers when you start ever, right? But
Right,
when you jump out into that world of an entrepreneur, you're like, freedom.
right.
Wait, no, it's not. And I think sometimes they have you, this is not you, it's just in general, don't have a clear vision of how their business will operate when it's at its ideal operational capacity. In the beginning, there's bumps and things, and what that life will look like, and then put those things into place. So,
Right,
office hours, you know,
right,
I will
right.
work from here to here, and especially for entrepreneurs who work at home.
Yes,
Because
yes.
I personally had to say, when the door is shut, you cannot come and talk to me. I'm in my office. I'm at
Mhm,
work. If the door is
mhm,
open, you can talk to me. Sometimes I'm going to
mhm.
tell you not to talk to me, but finding like you said, boundaries and sticking to them, even when you're feeling like, oh, just one more thing, because there's always one more
I
thing.
know, I know, I know.
Always.
I know. And, I try to prioritize. I try to prioritize my business obligations so that I take care of the ones on top first, and maybe those lower ones aren't going to get taken care of today so that I can then prioritize my family. But I guess what I've been struggling with today in particular and lately is that a lot of the things that I do feel like are at the top for my business, just to get myself out there and my name out there and grow, is local networking. And there are a lot of robust local networking kind of networks.
Right.
But they're often in the evenings. And so if I
Right.
want to do those, I have no choice. If I decide I want to do it, then I'm going to have to miss bedtime and dinner and those things on those nights, but it just seems to be like every night. And
Right.
that is not working. And I have to figure out how to
And
rectify
I
that.
mean, because I've done, especially, I mean, I've done so much networking, especially when it went online. It was like, I did go for a period where I'm like, I'm not getting any work done because I'm in
Right.
all these meetings.
Right.
So one of the things to think about, and this is for everybody whose schedule is overflowing with things, is um, take a really like step out of your business and the emotion of your business and look at each of those groups and question. But it's good to be in groups, it's good to network, and you don't always know what you're going to get out of them, but is this where there's people who can help you with your business and who you want to connect with? Are there good referral partners in there? So I've been in networking groups where there were lovely ladies and we had great talks, but nothing was coming. Like I gave it a college try and I wasn't getting any traction of anything. And I've been in other groups where I'm still in contact with some of those people and we still refer actively to each other. So it's
Mhm.
finding, not having to be in, feel like you have to
All
be
of
in all the
them.
groups,
Right.
being selective of the groups. And I know some groups require you to, like I belonged to a BNI for a long time. I don't know if you've
Mhm.
heard of BNI, and it was
I know what it is. Yeah.
yeah, it was an early morning meeting, which I am not a morning person, but it required you to be there every single week,
Yeah.
every week, week in, week out. And understood the philosophy of it, which is why I did that one day a week. I would go, I'd get up early, but also that was quality. I found there was quality in that. So I chose that one. But other ones I've been to 1 or 2 meetings and said, "No, I don't need to be in these ones." So
Yeah.
finding a way
Yeah.
to be selective and knowing that some evenings you'll be out, but you don't have to be at all of them,
Right.
right?
Right.
Because you can spend all your time networking. And when I think
Yeah.
about entrepreneurs, I think about to-do lists. So sometimes the prioritization, I don't know, how do you decide how to prioritize your to-do list?
Well, what I have been learning is that the top things are often the things you least want to do.
Did you read Eat That Frog
Sometimes.
by Brian
Yes.
Tracy?
Exactly. So, maybe I should just say eat that frog. Like, that's
Right.
what I'm trying to do that. I'm trying to find, what are the things that I need to do and what are the things that are going to take me the farthest and have the most effect on moving my business forward right now. And one of those things is networking.
Yeah,
Um, one of those things that I do think will help me with the work-life balance is finding a virtual assistant so that I can delegate some of the things that don't have to be me. And I'm not sure what the other things are. Well, patient care, but that actually, now that I'm talking about it out loud, I think I do probably just need somebody to help me with what you said, which is how to organize my business in a way that is going to make all of these things work
right.
efficiently. And, again, not being in office, not having any business experience or even management experience, that I'm kind of winging it.
Right. Right. So
And
It
Yeah,
is entrepreneurs when they first start, they do absolutely everything. Now,
yeah,
I do believe that in the beginning, you kind of have to do everything
sure.
because you don't necessarily know what's going to be important to the business, what's not going to be important to the business, and how you want things done. So that said, that doesn't mean you keep doing all of the things. So one of the course creator people that I follow likens it to an you are an employee inside of your company instead of running your
Hmm.
company.
Hmm.
And you're likely an underpaid employee. You might be being paid like an intern. You might be doing intern type jobs. So
Right.
finding a way to it's something that I've done for myself is when I'm doing a task that I recognize does not really generate income for my business, does not really move my business forward. And it's repetitive. I just happen to use Evernote. I just write down the steps in anticipation that I will assign this to someone to do.
Yeah.
Because if I'm earning, I'll just throw numbers out. If I earn, $200 an hour seeing clients, and I'm doing a job that I can pay someone $15 an hour to do, it's in my best interest to
Right.
get someone else to do that. And
Right.
you've hit that 1 year. You said you were a year at this, right?
Hmm.
So now you've hit that 1 year point where you're like, okay, there's way too many things that I'm doing.
Hmm.
And that's when you start to evaluate the tasks and say, this has got to go. Now, I've known entrepreneurs who hired VAs but didn't really utilize them because they didn't know what to give them because they
Yeah.
hadn't been in that management role. So that's
Yeah.
when I suggest like write down what you want, what you're spending your time doing,
Hmm.
and then what can you get rid of. So
Right.
there's a book actually I'm working with right now. I don't know. Do you know Michael Michalowicz?
No.
He wrote the book Profits First and Pumpkin Plan, and his latest, I think this is just a re-edition, the latest edition of revised and expanded. It's called Clockwork.
Okay.
And he takes you through steps to figure out what are you doing in your business that you don't need to be doing
Okay.
and send to someone else. It grew out of a book called The E-Myth by Michael Gerber. And the E-myth is about the entrepreneur myth of entrepreneurs think, yeah, I'll just go out and I'll be so free and lazy and lay on the beach while money rolls in. My friends, that doesn't actually happen in real life.
Hmm. Hmm.
But it's also different. Like entrepreneurs work hard, but working hard for yourself is different than working hard for
Yeah.
someone else, right?
Yeah.
So even on your most challenging days, I'm sure you feel better. I'm putting
Yes.
words in your mouth, but
No, it's true. I am happy that I'm doing my thing, and
right.
it feels good to be, figuring out a way to practice medicine on my own terms. But it's a challenge. I mean, it's a
And
challenge every day.
what have you tried like up to now to help you balance yourself out?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, it's it's one of those things, like, when you do have the time, not that I really have the time, but I can make my own schedule technically, but I don't have when you have the time, you don't have the money, when you have the money, you don't have the time, like, you know, I I could use a real break.
Right.
I didn't really give myself that in between quitting and starting. I mean, I didn't open my practice immediately, but I didn't have any downtime either.
Right.
And so I never was able to kind of heal from the burnout I was already feeling.
Right. So you were on
So
fumes and then you took off down the highway.
yeah, yeah. And so that's one place. So I'm not really gonna tell you ways that I have succeeded in this because I don't feel like I have. And I feel like I'm realizing now, I guess at the 1 year mark that I have to change that
I
or
mean, even when we feel like we're not succeeding, it's often our standard of where what we thought would happen, right?
right, right.
So you have successfully run a business for a year and you have uh, clients who appreciate what you're doing and helping them. And you just feel like maybe you're giving too much and
Yeah.
you've got to take some back for you.
Yeah.
And so I would say you're not failing at all, my friend. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, my brain just did a loop-de-loop and a thought came and did a somersault and left. It happens. It happens.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
I can blame a few things. I can blame, a year since I had a stroke and I'm over 50. So,
okay, there's two good reasons for
so
sure.
plus I'm easily distracted. A squirrel can fly by and
Yeah.
it'll distract me. So planning, that's what I wanted to talk about. Planning. Sometimes I write myself a word so I remember. So it's, I mean, when we go into a planning mode, and I would recommend this not just entrepreneurs, just think of a person in general, like you have goals for your life. And if you don't sit down and think about how you might get to them, you won't get them. And we sometimes that pause, like I was just thinking, that's when you said you didn't pause in between. It feels like sometimes it can feel excruciating. The pause can feel excruciating because we're doers. Didn't you say you were a self-professed type A?
Oh yeah.
do, go.
A plus.
Right? If we don't give ourselves permission, because you have to give yourself permission or you'll fight yourself the whole time, permission for a pause to reflect and think about what you want. Or if you can't figure out what you want, figure out what you don't want. And that might lead you to what you want. Then you're just doing. Right. So, and I'm guilty. I'm totally guilty of not pausing because, entrepreneurs, I've been an entrepreneur for a long time and I still every now and then go, shoot. And I have a coach who helps me. So he'll say, Heather, what's your plan for this? I'm like, oh, shoot. He's going to ask me though. What's my goal question? So I usually talk, my best way of solving problems is to talk out loud, which is why I love having a coach because I can just talk out loud. He asks me questions and I eventually tell myself the answer.
Yeah.
So figuring out what you don't want, what you do want, but giving yourself permission to have a pause. It'll be a bit painful in some ways because as entrepreneurs, when we pause, we say, I'm not earning any money. And the bills don't stop coming in. But figuring out a way, even if you gave yourself like a weekend, I don't know. It's like you have families and kids and there's all of that.
Yeah.
So I have go ahead.
I was gonna say I did sign up for a conference next weekend that is out of town that will definitely be rejuvenating, but then there's that part of me that feels guilty because I'm leaving my husband with the kids for 5 days. And
guilt is a wasted emotion.
I know. I know.
And I think this is why this podcast is called Back to Me, because I think women specifically feel bad. So imagine you wouldn't be upset with your husband if he went away for 5 days and left you with the kids. So why do we feel okay? But traditionally, women are like, it's my role. And I know I'm a little old school, but I was born in the 60s, and I don't believe it, but I know that is still fairly entrenched in the culture. But we feel bad going away. It's like, what? Why? You're a professional. You're going to a conference. Can you fit in some downtime in there while you're there? You're not going to party every night.
I definitely can.
And conferences do fill you back up, right? Because you get to network in a different way. You get to be with people who talk the same language as you. You get excited by new things coming. Like I haven't been to a conference in so long. Oh gosh. Of course, the world's been shut down for 3 years.
Right. But maybe it's time.
Yeah, it is time. And give yourself permission to do it and enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I always have notebooks and things with me to write down, because things will come to you when you're not thinking about stressing about getting your day done, your to-do list done.
Mhm.
And you can start to sketch on a piece of paper what you think it'll look like. I do an exercise in one of my groups where it's like, imagine your perfect day, what it would look like.
Mhm.
And it's an exercise that some people struggle with because they've never thought about it. They can
Yeah.
only think about what they
Yeah.
don't want, which is, it's an okay place to start.
Right.
So if you were going to wave a magic wand, what would happen in your life?
So I would like to be able to provide the kind of care through my business that I would like to provide with some help. I think I'm realizing that that's not necessarily going to be completely a solo affair. And I would like to be able to have downtime with my family when I can truly relax and enjoy them, and they can enjoy me, and get enough sleep at night and have a little time for myself. Like, one thing I'm struggling with now, because I am in this kind of business school, and every month we have to read a business book, and my reading is typically in the car. Obviously, just
While you're driving, hold
yeah,
on.
you're right. Listening. But I also really love to read for pleasure, and so now when do I do that if I have to
Right.
read this book? And because there's only so much time. And so I want to figure out a way to have those office hours, I think,
Yeah.
and find a comfortable kind of number of patients, which I don't know exactly what that's going to be for me right now.
Right.
Comfortable both in terms of income, but also what I can handle.
Yeah, time and energy. And
Right.
that's a key thing in a business to understand, because I used to be a CPA, by the way.
Mhm, mhm.
Is way back before I became the health and wellness person. Is it like on being an entrepreneur is great, but you got to know the numbers of what you
Yeah,
need, and can you do that number that you think you need, and still
right.
keep yourself sane and healthy. And I do think it's important to carve family time and me time, alone
Yeah.
time. I talk about wellness is, this whole 6 things, and one of them definitely has to be your physical, emotional, and spiritual wellness.
Yeah.
Relationships are only one of them. Financial and professional are only, pieces of them, and they all fit together nicely. And I have a friend that I know who puts it on a chart.
Mm,
He has his time slotted of, like, this is what time I'm doing the laundry. This is what time I'm doing the dishes, because he's managing children and his
mhm.
business. That's too much detail for me. My brain won't work that way. But I appreciate how beautiful his chart is, and that he can
Mhm,
stick to those times, and that his family understands, this is when I'm doing this and this is when I'm doing this. And
mhm.
he's figured it out. Obviously, it's not an immediate overnight thing. I'm more of a chunker than a time slotter. But it's when I talk about I don't know if you heard me say this. When I talk about when you're stuck in something, the first point is to realize, oh my God, I'm stuck in something.
Mhm.
The awareness. Then you have to decide to do something, and then you have to do it. But in deciding to do
Mhm.
something, you need to take that pause to figure out your direction. Because if you just start doing, it's like shooting a shotgun. It could hit anything, right?
Yeah, and I think that's definitely where I am,
And I
and I need
talk
that.
so much about sleep.
Yeah.
If you do anything at all, sleep should be number 1. I don't know if you've read Arianna Huffington's book about sleep, but sleep, oh my gosh. Just as a doctor, you should know, what sleep does. You know what sleep is for. It's like, I definitely need to sleep. Wow.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we're talking
No,
about how
I
to
know.
avoid burnout, but you're not quite burnt out, are you?
I don't know that I am quite burnt out. I mean, I definitely feel differently than I did. I mean, it's like my entire soul had been sucked out of me before.
Oh,
Like,
before.
that's how
Okay.
I felt before, not now. Now I do not feel that way. I think I just feel very tired.
Right. And it's
And
hard,
yeah.
like, and this is like I talked to all of the guests about this. Like if you this and this is again, it's called back to me because if you can't, it's not selfish to put yourself first. Because if you put yourself first, then you have the energy to do and give the things you want to do and give. But we struggle with it so much. We struggle with
Yeah,
it so much.
and I hear myself all the time. I mean, this is what I tell the moms that I'm seeing who are breastfeeding. Like, there's no amount of milk that is worth your own mental health. And if you're not well, you cannot take care of your child. And yet here I am. I know. It's so easy to say.
It is easy to say. It's simple, it's not easy, right? So your business is your baby.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
no amount
So
of work that you can give this business is worth your mental health.
Yeah.
And there's a podcast that I listen to, and he has a mantra. And whenever this is what I do. Whenever I'm stressed out, I have a couple of mantras that I just repeat in my head. One of them, his is, everything is, always has been, and always will be fine. So it's like, okay, just remind myself, I may be spinning, but actually, in the grand scheme, everything's actually okay. I know it's not true all the 100% for everybody, but and then I have a shorter one where I just say, choose peace. Today I'm choosing peace, and that can calm me down. But if I need the longer one, I need the longer one. Yeah, it is. I mean, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's challenging to be an entrepreneur. It's challenging to have a job. It's like, who was I talking to? Somebody recently. Oh my God, my brain. But I was in a networking meeting. Speaking of networking meetings, and there's an author that I read who was talking about problems. And we make all these changes thinking we're going to solve all of our problems. But in reality, everybody has problems. So and you should just be happy, because if you have problems, it means you're alive. And all you really need is to have better problems.
Interesting. Okay.
So his example was, Bill Gates, or no, anyway, a rich person, Bill Gates, has millions and millions of dollars. He has problems. He has better problems than the homeless guy who's wondering how he's going to, get his next meal. Problems, just different problems. So get better problems. And instead, I've changed them from problems to exciting things to figure out.
Yeah.
So it's a puzzle. How will I make this happen? How will I get this to work properly? Well, how will I solve this puzzle? I have a puzzle brain, so I like puzzles.
Well, it's interesting. And the way you said it, you're obviously a good coach, because I feel like I'm about to say what I think I need, which is that, another thing that I really, really am trying to stress in my quote unquote coaching for people who are about to have babies and plan to lactate is plan. Figure out in particular who you need help from, and rally your support system, find your village. And I definitely did not do that, and I think I need to kind of start from scratch. and do that. I have some of it for sure, but I don't think I did that.
And
And you
don't check
need
the
to,
whole thing out because some of it's working.
right,
It just
right,
needs tweaking,
right.
right?
But I'm realizing that that same advice goes to business owners. And so for anybody who's listening to this podcast who has not yet started a business, but is planning to, I think that that is a really important step to
Right.
figure out your support system, both in terms of your business, but also your life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I call it, I have a couple things was, bring a friend.
Hmm.
So bring someone
Hmm.
you can talk to who is, maybe not your spouse because they don't always want to hear about business all the
Right.
time. Someone you, like you said, get your village, get your support system, bring a friend. And the other thing that I have in that list is you are really good at what you do, not everything. So the stuff that you're not the greatest at, pay someone else to do it because my God, you should be spending your time on the stuff you're brilliant at. And I think
Yeah.
coaching pregnant ladies is coaching. It is a form of coaching because you're helping them figure out how they're going to navigate baby life, right?
Right.
And that's
Right.
I remember when my sister had her first, it was like, holy crap, olies.
Yep.
There's a person here. And man, are they
Yeah.
demanding.
Yeah. And even as a pediatrician, I'm a pediatrician, and I didn't realize how all encompassing that really is.
It is, they require all of you, right?
Hmm.
So you need to
Hmm.
take care of yourself for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's very wise. Oh my gosh. Yes. Um, before we head off and, have a fabulous day, do you have any final words of wisdom for people? And anything, it can be in anything.
Wow. Anything. Uh, well, I think what I'm trying to remind myself now is, people have said I feel like I am so focused on, having this business be successful, but why is that more successful than my family? Or why do I feel like I need that to be more successful than my relationships with my family? They're the
Mm,
ones who are always going to be there. They are truly what's most important to me. Um, and if that means in the end that this isn't the path that's for me, then maybe that is what it means. I don't know yet, but I have to remember that because that's the part, I'm worried about the business and everything, but it's the part that hurts my heart
oh,
is when I miss bedtime with my kids.
right.
And so then why do I keep missing bedtime with my kids? Like, I need to listen to that part of
Right.
myself.
Always listen to the thing that is your priority.
Yeah.
What you're placing value on is different than, or what you're placing priorities on is different than what you're valuing the most.
Right. Right.
And my one other thought for you, which you can just take away and contemplate, is you made a comment of why am I putting the success of my business ahead of my family? What does the success of your business actually look like? And that
Right.
goes back to the planning. What would success
Right.
look like? And because you might actually be there and not even know it, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Whoa. Super, super conversation today. Holy moly. Um, so
Ah,
thank you for
well,
sharing, by the way. Yeah, go ahead.
one
Yeah.
way in which I definitely have succeeded is, like, this has allowed me a certain flexibility for sure that has allowed me to be maybe not there for every dinner and every bedtime, but I was there for every playoffs game for my son, which was very last minute, knowing when those were gonna be, and that never would have happened in my last job. I never would have been able
Right.
to just take off at the last minute, and today I was there for a Halloween party in the morning, and Monday I'll be there for one for my daughter. So,
Right.
that's the kinda that is what I did this for, and yes, I also want more bedtimes and dinners, but I am able to be there for those really special moments. They're all special, but
But it's true. Like, so you are achieving success without recognizing that you're
yeah,
achieving what you're achieving. And
yeah,
potentially if you reframed it a little bit, could say, yeah, I'm awesome and I'm killing it.
yeah.
Right? Thank you so much for
Yeah,
sharing all
thank
that.
you. Thank you.
Um, hopefully, hopefully that helps you. Hopefully that helps someone out there listening. And some like often I'm not coaching, but I felt today like I
I
would
feel like you
coach
were
Heather.
too, and I
It's all
appreciate
good. It's all good
it.
because the conversations go where they need to go.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about having these conversations. My friends, you should check out Dr. Cindy because she's got some awesomeness. And there's stuff in the show notes, a YouTube channel even.
Yeah.
So check it out because
Yeah,
I mean,
please.
I don't need it at this point, but I might go just watch it anyway. I know pregnant ladies,
And I try to make it fun, but informative,
right?
and there's a variety of, there's information on there about just general pediatrics as well as bucking the system and lactation, so there's a lot of
Awesome.
stuff in there, so
Beautiful.
and I have not done much with my TikTok channel, but I have 99 followers, so I'm almost at 100, so one more follower will get me to 100.
Oh my God, look at you
Do you
go.
want to be
What's your
that 100th?
TikTok name? Is it Dr.
In Touch Peds.
In Touch
So that's
Peds?
the name of my
All right.
so
Okay.
I'm In Touch Pediatrics and Lactation is the name of my
All
practice.
right.
It's
Go.
In Touch Peds,
I
so
gotta check out
find
lactation
me.
TikToks. That's so awesome. All right. Thank you so much. Thank
Thank
you so
you.
much.
I really enjoyed this. Thank you for having me
Okay.
on, and, we're all in it together,
We're all in
and
it
we've all
together.
been there, and yeah.
Yeah. Okay, my friends out in podcast land, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. If you have questions, get in touch, Dr. Cindy or myself for sure. Click on the links, and I will see you again soon. Take care. Hi, my friend. Thanks so much for listening to this entire podcast. If you found it useful and you're like me and you like helping others, please feel free to share this. Give it a like, give it a comment. If you found something useful in it, there's a chance that someone else will find something useful as well. Also, if you have any questions at all, I can absolutely help, and I would love to help. You can email me at heather@prosperityflowcoaching.com. If you want more of this awesome content, you can follow me on Instagram, Heather Stewart Coaching. You can follow me on Facebook, Prosperity Flow Coaching. And I have a personal request. I want to help as many people as I can with these podcasts. And if you could give me a review, hopefully a good one, if you could share, if you could send this out into the world, I would truly appreciate it. I hope you have an amazing day, and I hope that you find your way to wellness by getting back to me. Take care, my friend.